What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video, which is all about e-bikes and RVing. We're going to talk about theft, security, mounting, dismounting, gear, accessories, and much more.
Rad Power Bikes sent us our e-bikes 3 months ago for a review, and we have since pedaled 300 miles on these bad boys.
My name's Aaron, this is my wife Chris, who's Irene, and let's get into it. First off, we want to talk a little bit about how we use these bikes as full-time RVers. We're in a 22-foot Sprinter van, so these are our only modes of transportation besides the van. And so we use them a lot for fun. Time to get away from the van, get out there and explore the local areas around us. So we first started out in Washington State, where we got to ride these on the beaches many miles and visit the local small towns up there. From there, we traveled very quickly south into Northern California, where we were in wine country. Again, we got to take these out in the country and just kind of, be free.
Cruise around.
Yeah.
Cruise around, have fun. We'd go on dates, and we talked before about that 5 to 10 mile radius around our van, where once we park our van, it sits there and it's not really worth converting it back into drive mode. So we would use the bikes to get out, go explore, and have some fun together.
Absolutely. After that, we went to San Francisco for the very first time. And if you haven't seen, we have 2 videos on this, and we rode over 90 miles around the city. This is now our new favorite way to travel around these big cities. We saw so much, and we actually felt like we were part of the city.
And it was perfect to have the assistance on those killer hills.
Wow. Yeah. If you want a testament on how long the battery lasts, how good it does on hills. Well, on our first day, we did about 50 miles. And my battery actually drained all the way down to the end. Chris had a little bit juice left in hers, but wow, I mean, without that, we would have never been able to see as much as we did and to do as much as we did.
So in San Francisco, the bikes allowed us to keep our van parked at the RV park, and we would take like a 15-mile ride in, and then we would cruise around all day, depending on what sites we wanted to see. We would like bounce back and forth, hit everything on our list.
Yeah, the Golden Gate Bridge, Fisherman's Wharf.
Yeah, so we would
the Full House.
All of the destinations we got to see. And then from there, we would just make sure that we had enough juice to get back to the park. And it was perfect because that's another case where, you know, it's too far to walk. You don't want to Uber. And you do get a little bit of exercise on the way there. Gets you up in the morning, gets you going. And it's a super fun way to explore cities.
Absolutely. Our new favorite. The next spot we went to was even further south in Palm Springs, where we stayed for multiple weeks at an RV park close to town. And this is where we really got to use these bikes as a utilitarian type of second vehicle for us.
Yeah, it was so awesome. We parked our van at full hookups, and we left it parked there for multiple weeks at a time.
3 weeks, the longest we've ever parked our van.
No starting the engine. It was really like a slice of luxury to just have that parked there and then have the bikes for utilitarian purposes, fun purposes, and like to get us out and see things. So I really took advantage of the bikes here, where I used my bike a couple times a week to drive over to the grocery store, load up my tote bags and my bag on my rack with groceries, and it was just a shining star for grocery shopping. Typically, prior to the bikes, we would limit our grocery trips to once per week. About once a week, we'd convert into drive mode, go do all of our errands in one day.
Big day.
And so if there's anything that I need or just wanted from the grocery store or anywhere, I'd be out of luck until we made that trip. Another standout use for me in Palm Springs was a chiropractor appointment that I had. I was able to take the bike 5 miles there, go to my appointment. Aaron got to stay home in the comfort of the house, and then I was gone for like 2 hours, rode 5 miles back, and it was awesome.
So we've been to that same location in years past before we had the bikes, and we really found ourselves not doing a whole lot of sightseeing around the area. We pretty much just stayed close to the park and everything within walking distance. This time around, we actually got to take our bikes on about a 10-mile one-way cruise. I think it was actually 8 miles to the Thousand Palms Nature Preserve. And that was just a cool little touristy type of attraction that we never got to see before. Sometimes Chris and I like to have a little bit of a date day in the middle of the week just to break up the monotony of working and hanging out in the van. So it's one of those things that you strap on your helmet and you go for a ride and you just start smiling. So those are just a few of the ways that we use these bikes in our lifestyle of full-time RV living. And so now we're going to cover some of the common topics and questions that we've got from our first video. And first off, we're going to take a look at the storage cover and also mounting and dismounting. People are very interested in how heavy are they? Is it something that anybody can mount up and down? And so Chris has never mounted them before. I'm going to teach her how to do it. And we're going to dismount and mount them and show you what that looks like. So first off, let's talk about this cover we have here. This is from Pro Bike Tool. It is their transportation model, not their stationary model. So the difference is it has some like clips and bungees to help tighten the material. There's a bungee down here as well. And they have 3 of these straps across the top. And then down below, there's actually a one more strap that holds it completely tight so that it's not gonna flap off in the wind. And so this is like a ripstop nylon type of material. It's very waterproof. It's pretty tight. And so far it's worked really great. I do have a quick caveat though. This is our second one. The first one, the thread came undone on this and the buckle came apart. So it's a quick and easy warranty, and I still really like the cover. So let's pull this thing off and check out how these things mount and dismount. Okay, first off, we're gonna just unlock all of the locks that we have on here. This cable, we'll talk a little bit more later, but this comes with the bike rack. And so it's just a little bit of an extra sense of security while traveling. And then these J hooks are also locked. So we'll unlock both of those, one on each bike. And once we pull these J hooks off, the only thing that's gonna be holding the bikes on are these tire straps, one on each tire, front and the back. And the easiest way to get these on and off is to just do them half at a time. So, the front tire, rear tire. So I'm just gonna lift up half of it and put it down. So all I'm doing is just half the weight, which is roughly about maybe 35-ish pounds. And then if you pull down on the right brake here, it's gonna lock the back tire. And by doing that and pulling back at the same time, kind of make a quick, easy motion just like that. And the bike is off. So that's the outside one. The inside one is a little bit more different because we do not have the swing away hitch. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few seconds, but let's get this other bike off. Now, again, we don't have the swing away, so if we did, this rack would be swung outwards and we'd take it off similar to how the first one was. But with this, I have to walk it back. So I'm just gonna basically lift up the back tire slightly and I'm just wheeling it backwards. Same way. And so it's just half the weight that I'm holding on to. Chris, you look like you're kind of scared. You're gonna be doing this shortly.
Yeah, I'm already embarrassed.
Same thing with holding the right brake and just pulling it back. And it's off.
Easy.
All right, after a 5-minute crash course with teaching Chris on how to mount this thing, let's see how she does.
I'm a little nervous. Okay, Erin makes it look so easy.
Not bad, not bad.
Okay, I'm off to an okay start.
Yep, move the pedal into the top position. Yep,
Okay.
perfect.
Okay. Now you brace and squat.
Yep.
And lift.
And roll.
And roll. Roll one.
One more time.
Roll two.
Perfect, one more loop.
And final push.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that wasn't too bad. Okay, keep holding on to it because from here it's not
attached to anything.
It's not tight. So from here we'll have to pop back up this, which is your center support. Little bracket or pin goes in there like so. And so the inside bike has the small hook. And so really it just goes down like that. And so from there you can let go of the bike because it's supported. And then you can continue on, restrap your tires, give this another couple clicks down so that it's tight.
Not too tight. Do not over compress.
Do not over compress. So I'll show the front bike really quick and just show you how easy it is for the front one.
And side note on that, if you are a solo lady by yourself and you just have one bike, you'd use the front one.
Yes.
So and that challenge that I did with the rear, you wouldn't have to deal with.
Rear brake, put the front tire in, lift with your legs, the back tire, watch your pedals, and it just goes in like that. So the front's definitely easier than the rear. Chris manhandled that rear pretty good, I think. But again, from here you just get the J hook a little snug, and then you can let go and mount the tires and get everything nice and snug. Okay, and the rack that we have is the Hollywood e-bike rack. I think it's the HR 1500 model. It is designed for 80 pounds per tray. So it's one of the only racks that I think I saw that were up to 80 pounds. So I really like its beefy construction. It was easy to put together. It's holding up great after, like I said, 2,000 miles. The only thing I did was add on these tail lights, turn signals, and then this license plate bracket as well, just because when the bikes and the cover are on there, it blocks everything. So I wanted to make it road safe and road legal. So I mentioned the swing away adapter that they make for these things. It's an additional piece. I think it's around $300. We are considering getting one. We're not 100% sure. We kind of wanted to use the setup as is, but basically that piece attaches to your standard 2-inch hitch, and then your bike carrier goes into that piece, and that allows it to pivot in and out. So a great option for some, and people have mentioned that they really like it. Additionally, it comes with this cable lock. I don't love cable locks. They have their place as that they're easy to use. They're long, they're light. You can you know, hook up a big mass of things like 2 bikes in the rack, but they're easy to cut. So you do have to be careful with that. And as added security, we can add our folding locks to lock them to each other while they're on this rack. Speaking of locks, that is a big topic, and people have been asking us, how do we lock these things up in the city at night to the rack? What do we do? So let's talk about that now. Okay, and for the locks, this is what we were using. This is the Abus Bordeaux X6500 110 centimeter folding bike lock. And this is kind of the width or shape, how far it works. This carrier is great. We've never had this pop out during riding or transportation or anything, so we really do like that. And how these things work, it's just a key which you twist and the one piece comes down. And so from here you would take, you know, the middle of your frame, lock that around whatever you're trying to lock it to, and then click it back in and lock it. So this would be around something. Now the tricky thing with bikes like this, e-bikes, is they're kind of big, and it's not a lot of space sometimes to get around things. So typically what Chris and I will do is lock my bike to her bike and then her bike to something else. And so that works really great. Now people are going to be tempted to use those cable locks because they're easier and they're bigger, but trust me, they're not as secure at all and they're silent. So I actually just heard a story of a full-time RVer that was up in Alaska. He was staying overnight at a place kind of by a touristy area. I think it was by the signpost forest. And he actually had his e-bike stolen off of his truck camper in the middle of the night while they slept. And it was on his actual hitch, but he had one of those cable locks, which they just cut and took the bike. Now, these you could cut with a power tool or a Sawzall or something like that, but it would be very loud and it would take a couple minutes to do, something that you would probably hear. So we have these mounted right next to our heads where we sleep, and so we're not too concerned with that. But as far as locking these things up at our campsite or when we're boondocking, what I did was got a 3-foot cinch chain, which is wrapped around the frame of our van, which is right back by the right rear tire, and then we can lock these folding locks right to that. So we definitely recommend locking your bikes up at all times and covering them just so people can't even see what's under there. So at night and during the day, we have them locked up at all times just so it's habit, so we're not forgetting about it.
So when I would go to the grocery store to lock up, I had the same spot that I used every single time, and it was routine for me. However, before I went there by myself to just go grocery shopping, we did not assume that there was a nice, safe bike rack to lock up on. So Aaron and I did a little dry run through on one of our leisurely bike rides just to scope it out and to make sure that when I went to go there, there was somewhere that we could reliably use. So definitely go scope out an area if you anticipate hitting it up in the future and you want to make sure it's safe. So bike theft is a very common problem. They're easy to target if you don't lock them up properly. So be proactive, not reactive. And one thing that's really important to do is register your bike with the bike index. It's super easy. You need your serial number, some basic information. You register your bikes so that if they do get stolen, you're able to then report the theft to the police. And if it is in the system, in the index, it's much easier for them to recover your bikes and to even just try to recover your bikes.
So in addition to the folding locks, let's talk about accessories real quick. On the back here, we have the Rad Power Bikes rack that came right from them. That was extremely easy to mount. It has the power brake light in the back there. And on top of that, we put the Toe Peak strap mount kind of pannier bag. And these things are great. So both sides fold down, strap to the bottom of your bike, and create a nice little pouch for grocery shopping, right?
That's right.
And a little water bottle holder. Same thing on the other side. And then it has the nice big main pouch as well. So inside of here, I gotta talk about, this is a small Vibrelli hand pump. So if we do get a flat tire on the road, we can repair the flat. And speaking of flats, we actually had, or I did, 2 of them within 1 week. So these fat tires, I think, do pick up a little bit more than maybe a regular bike would, but it was like a large screw and then also a big thorn. So these tires do have like a puncture resistant shield in them. But what punctured these tires was pretty big, and so it's not something that's going to stop that. Also in here we have a 12-volt pump, which I use just to check tire pressure and to pump up the tires after they've been sitting a while. So this container up here is just another kind of small bag that I got, which can hold your cell phone, and bike tool, just your standard Allen keys and some sockets, Phillips flathead, and then this is that little patch kit so that you can repair them on the road. In addition, I also bought 2 inner tubes just so I had them on the van, because that's not something that you're gonna maybe find at the local hardware store. They're 4-inch by 26 tubes, so just to have those on as a spare. And the battery was something that a lot of people ask, can you get a second battery? And yes, you can. Rad Power Bikes actually sells those for $549 on their website. Oh, and before I forget, a lot of people put on like Cloud 9 seats. We did put on a couple seats ourselves. They're not Cloud 9s. This is like a memory foam with a bit of a ergo type of design. And then Chris on hers has kind of a plush memory foam seat herself. Same bag, same rack, and same lock on her step through.
We both have burn helmets. Helmets we always wear. We never skip them because there's maniacs out there driving around and you need to stay safe. So we really like these. They have a visor flap that flaps down. And then I also prefer to ride with sunglasses on, just because not only for the sun, but the wind gets really whippy. So it helps my eyes from like crying a little bit while I ride.
And there are a few Bluetooth style helmets that people have mentioned, which do sound pretty cool. We found out about those after we bought these helmets. But Bluetooth would definitely be a good thing to communicate to your partner when you're riding around.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Okay, let's talk about charging. This is a very popular subject on these bikes. People are very curious on this. So obviously when you're in an RV park, you're usually plugged into electrical, so it's not that big of a deal. A lot of campers have outlets on the side of their rig that you can easily plug into and charge your bike. Our chain, this is also where this hangs down here. So this is where we normally lock the bikes up, where we can charge them on the bike, or you can take the battery off and charge it inside. And so this comes with the bikes. It's the 120 watt charger, and it's basically just a power brick that you could then charge your battery anywhere you have a 110 source. So the next big question is, can you charge these off of solar or while boondocking? And the answer is yes. You just need to have at least a 120 watt inverter and enough battery power or solar to charge them. So it's 120 watts at 12 volt. That's roughly 10 amps per hour per battery. So that is quite a bit. If you had to charge your battery bike for 6 hours, that's 60 amps. You know, and a typical RV has a 100 amp hour battery that you can sometimes only use down to 50%. So we have an upgraded lithium system with 400 amp hours of lithium, and so we can charge these bikes off of that. And so this is almost the same as my laptop charger. So I have a 130 watt laptop charger, which some are a lot smaller, 45 watts. And so I use that all day while boondocking, you know, 5-6 hours a day a lot of times. And so it'd be similar to that as far as to charge up your bike. Also, people have mentioned that you could just bring these with you, and if you're on a long bike ride and you're able to plug your bike in while at a coffee shop or while having lunch or dinner or at a public place where there are outlets, that's another way to top off the battery. One thing that I read in the manual that I don't think a lot of people have mentioned is balancing the battery. So a brand new battery, there's instructions in your Rad Power Bikes manual that tells you exactly how to do that. And I believe it's 1 to 3 times charging your battery for exactly 12 hours and doing that 3 consecutive times. They also recommend to never charge your battery more than 12 hours. So that would kind of mean, you know, don't plug it in at 6 o'clock at night and then not unplug it until noon the next day. So you kind of want to keep an eye on it. There's 2 lights on here, red and green, and when it turns green, then your battery's charged. So it can take up to 7 hours to charge each battery, and also the range on these we're finding is the 45 plus mile range. So you can definitely get a good long ride on these bikes. The last couple things we want to talk about in this video is assembly and then also sizing. So for assembly, it did take me about 45 minutes to an hour. There are great instructional YouTube videos on these bikes from Rad Power Bikes. One of the common questions we got after our first video was, how would this Rad Rover full-size step-through work for somebody that is 5'2"? Now that's a little bit smaller than what they recommend. but I'll let Chris talk about that a little bit more.
I am 5'7", so I do not know how it would feel to be a size 5'2" person on this bike, but for 5'7", it's super comfortable to step through, get onto. The seat is not all the way down, so there's a couple inches that would make me just assume that a 5'5" person would be comfortable. Maybe a 5'4" person would be stretching it. I'm not really sure on those, so I would, reach out and look at guides that they have for sizes and stuff. But it's super easy to get in and out. I am really, really happy that I got the step-through version, and I don't experience any discomfort while I ride it. It's a super comfortable ride for me.
You can see that this is a full-size bike. It's the same basic dimensions as the Rad Rover. It just has the step-through to make it a little bit easier to handle. So you would have to be very comfortable with being able to handle the full-size frame and the full 70-pound weight that these bikes are too.
Yeah, which brings up a good point. So at 70 pounds and fat tires, if you put this baby down onto pedal assist 0 or pedal assist 1, you are gonna be working it. You're gonna get a workout. It was interesting to read some of the comments that we got, people giving us some heat saying that us fitness gurus have e-bikes and that they don't provide exercise, challenging if they do provide exercise. Well, I think that they certainly do, and they can. What's really great about the pedal assist is that you can change it. You can make it 0 pedal assist if you really want to challenge yourself. It's not easy to ride a bike that's 70 pounds and fat tires. So if you want to work out, you can get one. If you want assistance, you just decide how much assistance and go from there.
So that is about it for this video. We didn't cover a lot of the basics, which you'll find in our original video, which we'll link down below. And that's gonna do it. So we'll see you on the next one. And so basically what that does is the swing away piece goes into, babe, what are you catching butterflies over there?
Sorry.
All right, Captain.
Are you talking to him or to me? Which one's the captain?
We see you up there.
You looking for butterflies? I got a monarch.
We've been sliding since I don't remember when.